Hello, I'm author Denise Turney, the author of the book Love Pour Over Me, and I'm going to read you a copy of my very first published book, Portia. And this is a book, it's an inspirational story. It's a little over 100 pages, and it's been declared a classic. It is written in memoir format. It's about a defense attorney who's dealing with breast cancer, something that affects millions and millions of people all around the world. So I want to read you some excerpt. This is an inspirational story, by the way. It's not sad. You're not going to feel sad when you finish reading it. Some people have actually felt very encouraged after reading Portia. So I'm going to start with page 5. Getting a little up in my years, need them glasses. So Portia stared at the tree in her front yard. A hard wind rattled and shook the window. She crossed her arms and smiled softly. Despite her "I'm strong, I'm independent" pledges, she was glad her father knew when she needed him. She thought about the stories he told her during the last 5 months. At the start of his stories, he was always riding a train that moved north, away from Selma, Alabama, and night riders, house burnings, and America's strange fruit. She still had the 2 brown, tattered suitcases he climbed off that train with 40 years ago. "Here, keep these." That's all he said at the end of his hour-long visit 4 months ago, while he pushed the 2 suitcases to the back of her living room closet. As soon as he walked away from her house and scooted behind the steering wheel of his silver Chevy, she hurried to the closet and pulled the suitcases out. She opened them so fast, one of the tarnished clasps broke. Inside the suitcases, she was surprised to find newspaper articles and magazine clippings that centered around Chicago's riot of 1968, and 4 old Black history books she remembered her parents reading to her and her siblings when she was a little girl. That afternoon, 4 months ago, she scanned the newspaper articles and magazine clippings several times. Though the print in the articles said so, she couldn't recall her father being in jail for leading the civil rights march from the South Side to the mayor's house. It was hard back then. That's all she said, her eyes misty, her brow wide after she read the articles. She dug deeper inside one of the suitcases and pulled out her father's dusty journal. Its pages were tarnished and turned up at the edges. The first entry read, "I've been here 5 weeks and every day all I've had to eat is dry toast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Gotta get a job." She scanned down the journal and saw an asterisk. She smiled when she read the entry next to the asterisk. October 12, 1945. "I finally got a job at Bowling Automotive as an assembly line worker." She turned her cloaked back to the picture window and looked at her living room. It was nothing like the living room her father described in his journal. She knew she was a long way from that leaky roof, 1-room flat he called home in 1945. And that's just an excerpt from Portia. Her father and her mother are very empowered people. And they raised Portia and her siblings to be the same. And Portia is a very successful defense attorney in Chicago. Her mother was a successful school teacher. They've seen their challenges, but in Portia, she comes to face one of the hardest challenges she will experience in her life, and it impacts her family. So I encourage you to get a copy of Portia, and you can get it in it's in ebook format and in print, and you can get it at Barnes and Noble and Amazon and Chistel, CHISTELL.com. And I also hope you'll get a new copy of my latest book, Love Pour Over Me, by Denise Turney. And please subscribe to our Chistel.com YouTube channel. I love doing book readings. See you guys back here next week. Bye for now.